Carrie Ann actually started out to be a song about Marianne Faithfull. She was unbelievably attractive.
The Hollies were well on their way to becoming a dominant force in the UK music scene, crafting infectious hits that would echo through the charts. With tracks like Bus Stop and Carrie Ann, they became a staple of mid-60s pop culture. Their sound was nothing short of polished perfection, making it impossible to ignore their catchy, radio-friendly melodies. The Hollies were all about those signature harmonies, effortlessly blending voices that listeners couldn't help but fall in love with. But behind all the chart toppers and radio hits, there was a driving force in the band: Graham Nash. As the band's founder and key songwriter, Nash's vision and voice were at the very core of the band's distinctive sound. His role wasn't just as a musician, he was shaping the band's entire creative direction. However, by 1967, something started to shift. Nash, always the visionary, wanted to take the Hollies down a different path, one that embraced the psychedelic wave sweeping through the music world. This was a bold move, inspired by the countercultural movement and the growing influence of artists who were experimenting with sound. He wanted to break free from the tight, catchy pop formula that had worked so well for them. The problem was, the rest of the band wasn't quite ready to embrace that radical change. They were on top of the world with their established sound, and the idea of stepping into the experimental unknown wasn't something they were eager to pursue. So, the Hollies found themselves at a crossroads. Do they stay true to the sound that made them famous? Or do they dive into something new? Something that could define the next phase of rock music? This was the dilemma that would weigh heavily on Nash, who felt like his vision for the future of music was slipping away. But as tensions mounted within the band, the situation was about to hit a boiling point. As the clash of artistic visions escalated, the question became, what happens when a key member of a band no longer believes in the music they're making? This internal struggle would lead to a defining moment in the Hollies' journey, one that not only changed the course of the band's future, but also left a lasting mark on the broader rock scene. The year was 1967, and Nash pushed hard for the band to evolve, to explore themes and sounds that were challenging the status quo. But instead of embracing this new direction, the rest of the band dug in their heels, clinging to the formula that had made them successful. The tension between Nash's desire for musical growth and the band's resistance to change reached a breaking point, and a fateful meeting in Los Angeles would be the catalyst for an irreversible shift. In the early 60s, Graham Nash and his childhood friend Alan Clark started their musical journey in Manchester. They began with skiffle and rock and roll covers, drawing inspiration from the likes of Buddy Holly, and formed the Hollies. Their big break came when they secured a residency at the famous Cavern Club in Liverpool, catching the attention of a Parlophone producer, who also worked with the Beatles. In 1963, they released their debut single, a cover of Ain't That Just Like Me, which became a modest hit. From there, their success skyrocketed. By 1964, they had their first top 10 UK hit with Just One Look, followed by a string of hits including Here I Go Again and I'm Alive, which became their first hash one in the UK in 1965. They even managed to crack the North American market with the original song, Look Through Any Window. It was clear the Hollies were destined for greatness. As the years went on, the Hollies honed their craft, transitioning from their Merseybeat roots to become masters of sophisticated pop. But in 1966, something happened that would change everything. Nash embarked on a train journey from Casablanca to Marrakesh. His first-class compartment, filled with ladies with blue hair, bored him to no end, so he decided to explore the other carriages. What he saw on his journey fascinated him, and it was this experience that inspired some of his most famous work. This trip also sparked a growing desire in Nash to push the Hollies into new territories, artistically and musically. But while the band's hits continued to chart, Nash was becoming increasingly frustrated. By 1967, he was pushing for more experimental, psychedelic themes. He was seeing the future of rock music, and he wanted the Hollies to be part of it. But the band, still riding high on their pop success, wasn't on the same page. Then came King Midas in Reverse, a track Nash had convinced the band to record, which mixed psychedelic elements with orchestral flourishes. It was a bold move, but the song flopped. It peaked at hash 18 in the UK, a rare commercial failure for the band. For the Hollies, it was a sign that they had veered off course. For Nash, it was evidence that the band needed to evolve. But the divide between the two camps couldn't have been more apparent. Nash's frustration grew, and by early 1968, he introduced Marrakesh Express, a song inspired by his trip to Marrakesh. But when the band heard it, they rejected it outright. This wasn't just a rejection of a song, it was the culmination of years of creative tension. Nash was suffocated, and the rest of the band saw no reason to abandon the formula that had brought them so much success. In a surprising move, the Hollies decided to record an entire album of Bob Dylan covers, which to Nash felt like a commercial sellout, an uninspired move that went against everything he stood for. He was ready for change, but the band wasn't, and this creative rift set the stage for Nash's eventual departure. During a 1966 US tour, Nash met Cass Elliot of the Mamas and the Papas, and this meeting led to a lasting friendship. In 1968, Cass invited Nash to visit her in Laurel Canyon, where he would meet David Crosby and Stephen Stills. What followed was an impromptu jam session that created the magic of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. For Nash, it was a turning point. He had found a new creative home, and soon after, he left the Hollies. Despite Nash's departure, the Hollies carried on without missing a beat. They replaced him with Terry Sylvester, and the band's success continued. In 1969, they released Sorry Suzanne, followed by one of their biggest hits, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. This soulful anthem with Elton John on piano became a symbol of perseverance and brotherhood, reaching #3 in the UK and #7 in the US. The band proved they could evolve and thrive without Nash, releasing hits like I Can't Tell the Bottom from the Top and Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. The latter, a gritty swamp rock tune, became their biggest US hit, reaching #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The Hollies continued to evolve, releasing some of their most iconic songs in the 70s, including The Air That I Breathe. Meanwhile, Nash's new band Crosby, Stills, and Nash became a defining force in rock music, showing that Nash's instincts had been right all along. Even after their split, the Hollies' influence was undeniable, inspiring bands like ELO, The Smiths, and Tom Petty. In 2023, Nash and Clark reunited for a musical venture, with Nash reflecting on their shared childhood influences in the song Buddy's Back. The Hollies' story is a testament to resilience and evolution. Despite the painful breakup, both Nash and the Hollies went on to thrive in their own right.